Hi, so Tales from the Shed. We're back in the shed
With guests in
and
the
with
shed.
guests in the shed. We love it. So many people wanting to be guests in the shed, which is great. So today, what we've got Catherine Scard, who is a financial advisor. However, she has some special skills, don't you, Catherine?
Tell us about what you do, Catherine.
I've been doing it a long time. So, as Alison says, financial advice, I feel it doesn't just encompass your bank accounts, your savings, your pensions, your life insurance. I think what I love about it, I always say I'm a bit of a counsellor, because in order to be able to advise, I need to know about your life. And in order to know about your life, I have to be really nosy. And as women, we like to be quite nosy. I was a travel agent before, so obviously it's all about holidays normally, holidays and kids and grandkids, because obviously I've got kids of a young age. So yeah, I encompass what I understand from you to then build a financial plan for my clients. We start with lots of different things. I always say it's almost like a funnel where we shove everything in at the top to get the bottom product.
I like that.
Well, the things I ask you, sometimes people get, obviously I always signpost with my clients why I'm asking, but quite often it can be sort of out there and people think, why do I need to tell you that? Or why do you need to know it? Or but it just helps me to build that picture of clients' lives.
Yeah. So what you're not doing is squeezing people into this is how you have to, because that's what you kind of think with a financial advisor, is they're always going to take me to this road.
Yeah, we must always have this, we must always have these kind of different things.
Absolutely. And I don't think that's the case nowadays with financial planning. I think quite often lives change. We know, I always use COVID as an example because it's such a big event that happened in everyone's lives. Obviously us guys will remember lots of things: September the 11th, the war in Iraq. There's things that people nowadays don't realize, and younger generations, but everyone understands COVID. So with COVID, we found a lot of clients were then thinking more about their pensions, because I think we were so scared with COVID that our friends were going to go out to work and not come back or get ill. And I know that sounds quite extreme, but it's true.
No,
my husband was a key worker, so he'd go out and think, oh my God, he's going to bring COVID back in the house. And that irrational
going on
deal with it, I think. So with pensions, lots of people thought, oh my God, I need to get my retirement planning in place. So like we've said, it's not just about one thing. It's about linking it to your lifestyle and linking it to your lives.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's not about honing you into one box, because not one size fits all, which again is how I'm so nosy with clients, because one size doesn't fit all. We talk a lot about risk in my job, and not everyone matches the same risk profile. So again, it's about finding out those bits and pieces in our funnel to be able to recommend something correctly.
I think that's what, when we were talking, because you did a course, because it's interesting, because obviously we kind of talk with we're dealing with women who are kind of like coming up to in and after menopause, and what can often happen at that time is that you have a kind of realization that maybe you don't want to be in the relationship that you're in at the time, for whatever reason it is.
Yeah.
And so you were saying to me that when that situation is quite extreme, maybe you've been putting up with things for a long time, and realize that actually you've had enough.
Yeah.
And you said you've actually done a course which actually is looking at, and you called it a financial abuse. So you looked at,
which sounds quite extreme, doesn't it, when you say those words?
How can I get out of this relationship when maybe I've not been used to taking care of my own money, when maybe I haven't been doing these kind of things? And I think that's a really interesting thing that I mean, tell us more about that. That sounds absolutely.
So I guess that comes back to what we were just saying about not everyone fits one box, and actually financial advice can be quite scary sometimes. We have a lot of clients that say, oh, I don't want to talk about it, or oh my God, I'm going to tell you something. Well, I've been in the industry nearly 20 years now. I've heard everything. There's nothing I haven't heard or can't help with in essence. And even if I can't help, I have networks that can. So like you've then said, Alison, I thought, how can I build on my qualifications that I already have to help further that and help more people? And actually, I've been self-employed. I worked in a bank prior, so it was quite a small offering that we could offer our clients. Whereas now, being self-employed, I've got more range to offer different things to clients. And actually, I've started to offer advice to female clients. We obviously, I don't say no to helping the guys, but obviously it seems to be the market of going down helping female clients, because again, no offense to the men, but I feel women quite like talking to women.
Yes.
I think we've got that empathy with one another where we can understand each other's brains. And like I said, not saying that about men, but I just feel it fits better sometimes.
Yes.
So it has been more female clients, and actually in a divorce type setting. And as you've just said, Alison, when we've talked about how I help with financial abuse, I see a lot, and not all relationships obviously have abuse, but there are elements of clients I've helped that have been in controlling relationships.
So you have control, don't you? A lot of people control aspects of a relationship.
Absolutely.
Don't always realize that you have been controlled until you start trying to move away.
And actually, so my sister-in-law was in an abusive relationship. We could see it, we could try and talk to her about it, but until she realized herself, it's almost that element of trying to move out. So I think that's why you have to tread very carefully, because people say they're not, when I think you are, but you have to have that understanding and that empathy with them. So the qualification has just enabled me to have those markers that I can use with clients, to have those suggestive conversations with clients. And as you've just said, Anna, to put in place how clients can leave if they need to. So I've looked at survivor's guide, so almost what you would need, because again, quite often in a financially abusive relationship there will be emotional and physical abuse. It doesn't always go hand in hand, but quite often they will come as a package, unfortunately.
They normally do, yes.
Yeah, and it's difficult then for clients to go, how am I getting out? Because a lot of females I've spoken to don't even have a bank card. So then they've been given an allowance that they think, oh, that's great because I haven't got to deal with the money.
He loves me so much. He's dealing with all of my problems. I just have this, which is my bit.
Absolutely.
And in order to help me save money, we've sold my car so he can drive me everywhere because he loves me so much.
Absolutely. And people think that then is, oh, well, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to deal with anything. He's sorting it for me. And I know we've just talked about male, female. Men are abused in relationships as well. There's been a high profile case recently about she was high up in the probation service and she's gone to jail because of abusing her husband for a long time. So please don't think I'm just saying men abuse women. It's not the case.
But it is true that the majority is that way. And I have to say that I've got 2 clients at the moment that are men that have taken a long time because it's so hidden, and so they struggle. So I acknowledge it, but unfortunately, it's true that the majority are that way. And I've got clients at the moment that are really struggling, and I say simple things to them like, every time you go and get a shop, try to get £10 cash back and keep it, and
absolutely,
because they have to kind of keep their money. What would you say to somebody that, you know, and I know
as a first step,
as a first step, just because this is a small thing, and we'd love to talk to you in more detail, but just as a sort of a couple of quick tips, if somebody sort of is beginning to recognize, I'd love to leave, but I suddenly realize that I don't have a car and I don't have this and I don't have that. What would your first sort of couple of top tips be?
Yeah, like you've obviously said, Anne, keeping some money back. We always say, so certain banks in the UK will allow clients to open an account where they get no bank card, they get no statement. So there's no paper trail for the abusive partner to see.
That's really, really worthwhile knowing. I didn't, all the years I've dealt with abused women, I didn't know that. So that's a really nice thing.
Yeah, I believe TSB are one of the companies, but obviously again, times can change, but they have been in the past one of those companies that do it. So if you think it's very hard, as you said earlier, it's very hard to just leave, and you almost do have to confide in someone. So it's, and sometimes I find, you've said about those male clients that you have, it's that embarrassment factor. Now, I actually think sometimes when clients talk to me, they're not embarrassed because it's not a family member. So they're not having that huge embarrassment factor and that realization. So I guess talk to someone that you can, citizens advice if you're in town and you can nip in a library, which most of them are in, or if you have an advisor, or a solicitor that you may have talked to before. It would be great if you could confide in obviously friends and family, but if you can't feel you can, just find even bank staff. Obviously I came from a bank and we used to have a lot of regular clients that would come in. If there is someone in the bank that you feel comfortable in talking to, just say something and they will absolutely help. like I said, I've done a survival guide, which again we can share perhaps, I don't know, on some sort of platform, but
brilliant. Yes,
it is almost sort of having those important documents, perhaps making copies and giving it to your financial advisor or a friend if you trust them. You know, having that, it's hard to leave without a bit of money, or you think it's hard to leave without money, but there are support networks there. You know, there's so much online. And again, in my survival guide, I've got website addresses that people can go to. So I guess it's about confiding, trying to build a plan in your mind, even if you're not going to write it down because you don't want someone to see it. Build that plan and then go through with it, because it's so hard not to, isn't it? I think
they're brilliant tips, and I really want to talk to you more about that, but I think we'll come into that. And if somebody recognizes themselves in that space, we'll put some links up, but maybe have another chat about that a little bit later. But that's been really exciting.
That's a good introduction to that, and it'd be brilliant. And particularly with your guide, we'll definitely put the links to that in
brilliant
the notes of this for this.
Fantastic.
And we'll definitely catch up with you very soon, Catherine.
Brilliant. Thank you guys. Really nice to see you both.